Okay, some really big news out of Traxxas, surprisingly. A scale crawler coming from Traxxas. This is a prototype. So far, I've seen one with this color body and a green body. Uh, the design of the chassis is probably the most exciting part, and it's looking like you can see in the background that's a slash. So it's looking like it's going to be closer to 8th scale than 10th scale. So, of course, bigger, sometimes better, not always. But in my opinion, a bigger trail truck, bigger tires, you can get over bigger stuff, bigger rocks. So compared to the area around it, you'd be able to scale larger rocks. You could go more places because it's just physically bigger. So as of now, the only things we do know is it has portal axles. I'll get to a picture and explain those in just a second. Also, the front axle has an offset diff. So you don't have extreme drive shaft angles going out of the transfer case, transmission, whatever you want to call it. A steel ladder chassis, so the chassis is going to be metal. My biggest concern was it was going to be plastic, because Traxxas does like to do a lot of stuff with plastic. Extremely detailed Land Rover Defender D110 body with injection molded parts. Not a big... bodies are bodies. If it's a hard body, if it comes with a hard body, that would be really cool. 21 turn, 550 size Titan brushed motor. It's good that they're going with a brushed setup, but they're going to have to reprogram the XL5 for drag brake and all that stuff. A lot of people put sensorless brush setups in crawlers. Sure, it may work for you, but it's not going to work the best. You need a sensored setup so you'll get a correct drag brake. That's when you're going down hills. It will go slowly instead of just freewheel. Traxxas ID connectors, big deal. Remote locking front and rear differentials. That's a lot of people are being skeptical about that because in the past it's been done, but it didn't work. Well, it didn't work very well, but Traxxas has had the Summit out for quite a while now that had locking and unlocking diffs, front, rear, and center. Realistic front and rear bumpers, yeah. So let's actually get to some pictures. First picture, let's go to the front. I wish I could make that a little bigger. Let's actually go back and see if there's some better images that I can make a little bigger. Let me go back to all. I know there was a place where I was getting some bigger pictures. There we go. This is an RC car action. I just Googled Traxxas scale. So here's the green one. Still the Defender D110 body. This was at the Nuremberg toy show. RC as spotted at the WEMU RC scale shop site in Switzerland. These pics show the prototype scaler. The Traxxas is showing leaking is more like it at the Nuremberg show. So here you have and there's another good look at it. You really can't tell if that's going to be a hard body or a Lexan body, thin. As of right now, this is a prototype. I don't know how well I can really get up on these pictures. I'm trying to get some close-ups. Okay, here's the axles. You may not be able to see it, but portal axles, the axle center line and the center line of the wheel, the axle center line is actually higher because there is a gear reduction outside of the differential. There's an actual gear reduction at the outside of the differential. At the outside of the axle. So out here, that's pretty. Let me see if I can adjust the contrast a little. I'm actually excited about this. As people may know, I'm not the biggest Traxxas fan, but this is sort of shaking up the scale crawler world because, okay, there you may be able to see it. You see the axle right up here, but then the center line is down here. And you can actually see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts. That's what a portal is. It's 4-link suspension, coilover shock setup, looks like 4-link in the rear. And then we can go to, let's actually go full screen. Wait, that's not the one I wanted. Yeah, here you can actually see. Here's the drive shaft for the front, for the rear, it's right in the center. For the front, it's offset. So this differential is offset like in a real car, a real truck. Better axle angles. That actually looks like SCX10 axles. This is a prototype as of right now. It uses the Traxxas XL5 ESC and a Titan 21 turn brushed motor, which with a with a crawler, that's what you're going to want, or go with a censored brushless setup. I myself prefer the Tekin Rock 412 1200 kV. You get decent wheel speed, or you can always gear it down and have that motor spinning really high RPMs and turn all those RPMs into torque. And here is one of the big things that a lot of people are skeptical about. As you can see, right here and here are 2 servos. These are servos to actually lock and unlock the differentials. So instead of, like with the SCX10, the Vitera Ascender, the HPI Venture, you basically have a choice between, when you're crawling, you can't lock and unlock your differentials. If you have a locked front and an unlocked rear, you can turn in a tighter circle. You can set up to go up to climb better. You can see it is a ladder frame style. You can see the 2 frame rails on each side, and then on the other side there is all together on this there's 4 servos. Steering servo, then you got the locking differential servos, and then over here it's looking like most likely a high-low gear servo. It's actually placed on its side. These are placed upright. So it's looking pretty amazing. Let's see if I can actually get a look of how the servo actually looks like it's chassis mounted. Can't really get a good look at that, but it does look like it's chassis mounted instead of axle mounted, so that would be a good thing for some people, a bad thing for others. Traxxas is coming out with a lot of stuff right now. They're coming out with the Ford GT right now with a new Fortec 2.0 chassis that is shaft driven and not belt driven. I myself have already put money aside to get one of those. I'm going to put a Valenion system in it to keep it all Traxxas, and it's going to sit on a shelf. I'm going to open the box just to do that, and then it's going back in the box, and it's going to stay there. I think something like that one day will be worth money, because although yes, they're going to make a lot of them, most people are going to run them and mess up scratch the bottom of the chassis, damage the body from flipping, damage the wheels, all that stuff. And the wheels are actually pretty nice looking too. I'm not going to get into that, but this is all about this. This is pretty exciting. Me personally, I've been wanting to get back into scale crawling, and a 1/8 size scale crawler would be fantastic. And here is a front view at it. This is the Ford Raptor. Ford Raptor is based off of 2-wheel drive Slash. And here is the I'll just use the little pointer on there. There is the new scale crawler. It doesn't have a name yet. There are some things that I already do like. The portal idea is amazing. That gives you a hell of a lot of ground clearance below the diff without having to use 2.2 tires. Well, I think it's 2.2 wheels and large tires, just to give a decent amount of ground clearance at the differential. That was one problem I had with the original SCX10. The differential housings were so big that they got hung up a lot. So your axle center line is actually higher than the center line of the wheels because of the portal design. You have a offset diff. Instead of being right in the center, it's actually offset to the right a little, just like it would be in a real car, in a real vehicle. They have a 4-channel radio sitting next to it, so it's not looking like everything is going to be set independent. It's looking like the red switch is going to be, no, it may be independent with the 4-channel. I could actually demonstrate that right now. I have a Traxxas 4-channel right here. So this right here could be the high and low switch. This could be none locked. None of the differential locks. Oh yeah, most likely it would be they would work together. And then the center switch would be the front differential locked, and the switch all the way forward would be both front and rear. Because you never just want, when you're crawling, you never want just the rear locked. It's usually you're going to want the front locked and the rear unlocked. Unless you're going to go full. But this is most likely what transmitter is going to come with, the 4-channel, like the Summit. It's really nice that they're actually coming with something other than the Summit, because you can't use the Summit in competition crawling. I mean, you can, but it's not a true, excuse me, I'm thirsty when I'm talking like this. I'm very excited about this. This is a big deal, and the more I study the pictures, the better it's looking. It looked like the motor is actually sitting pretty far down in the chassis, so that will make center of gravity pretty low. Metal links, which we all know with the original Axial SCX10, it came with plastic links. Now the SCX10-2 is coming with metal out of the box, and you can get the kit. Personally, if I was to do either one, I'd get the kit. And then put my own ESC. And I can't really tell by look. Oh yeah, the front is a 4-link setup as well. Because I can see a link right here going towards the center. And then a link right here going towards the center. Instead of, yeah, that's, so 4-link front and rear is what it's looking like. And coilover suspension, I personally prefer that over a leaf style suspension. A lot more tuning abilities there. All you have to do is change out the coil and shock weight instead of, personally, I just don't like the idea of a leaf spring. It's a cool idea, especially for a scale look. That would be the most scale look, is putting some leaf springs on it, like the RC 4-wheel drive vehicles. But you can actually see, here is the one trend, but as I keep going forward, oh wait, I gotta go down some. This differential is offset, and so there's not any crazy angles for it to have to go from here to go to the center. It's a straight. And when you get into it, a lot of people say that RC vehicles have CV joints. No, they do not have CV joints. CV means constant velocity. If you actually look up a U joint, there is a problem between the driven side and the side that outputs the power. If it's at an extreme angle and not timed just right, you'll see it speed up and slow down, speed up and slow down. So that's why you don't want extreme angles. But if you do have extreme angles, you're going to want to put a double U-joint set up right next to each other. That's what they have in full size. They say a double U-joint on each end. So the double U-joint sort of gets rid of that timing problem to a point. But a CV joint usually uses ball bearings, and it's a constant velocity. That's what CV joint means, constant velocity. U-joint cannot do constant velocity under extreme angles. That's the problem there. So when you get a vehicle that's not just a dog bone, it actually has a joint on it, like a lot of my vehicles have. That's not a CV joint. That's a U-joint. It's just inside. It's inside of a cup. So like MIPs, those are not CV joints. Those are U-joints. A universal joint, so it can turn. Like if you have something for your ratchet, that's a U-joint. I just thought that I would do a video about this. This is sort of pretty groundbreaking for Traxxas, especially. It has an extra little plug right here. You may not be able to see it, but it may come with lights, a light bar up top, headlights. So this would be big. This is going to be big. I may not like Traxxas, but I like what Traxxas does for the industry. Traxxas constantly keeps coming out with new stuff, which is making other manufacturers have to step up their game so people will buy their vehicles. The X-Max. Well, then Sin came out with the Reaper or the Colossus XT. In America, we have the Colossus XT. Europe and places like that, you actually have the Reaper. We can get the Reaper here in the United States, but and surprisingly, 1/7 scale brushless, $650. Me personally, if I'm looking at a Traxxas or a Sin, I'm going to go after the metal chassis, brushless, something that I know is going to handle a lot more, because Sin has a very good reputation. And just for the hell of it, let's look at the Traxxas Ford GT. It comes with the, again, Valenion, I believe it's a 15-turn Titan motor. Here we can go. Use the Fortec 2.0 chassis, plastic chassis, unlike the last one. It's actually shaft driven. I like the tires, the wheel and tire combo. In the rear, it's actually a dish. It's backspaced, and it's different wheels. I really like the look of the wheels personally. Again, plastic chassis. Everything on this is really looking pretty cool, and I've already put money aside for it. The only thing I don't like about it is the links are plastic. They're going to get changed out to actual turnbuckles, so I can adjust camber and stuff like that. It's going to come with faux disc brakes. They don't really work, but they're cool to look at. Of course, all the usual. They're probably going to come out, and there's the body. Oh, that body's beautiful. I personally don't like the Ford GT. I don't like the motor that they put in it. It's a V6 with an EcoBoost. That thing is not economical at all. In fact, the Dodge Viper actually gets better gas mileage than the Ford GT does, because they have had to push so much PSI from the turbos into that V6 to make it up to supercar power that it makes a nice rumble. I mean, it does sound good. But here's the one thing I do not like about it. These drive cups coming out of a different plastic, but the driven cups, what the hell? No. Let's actually go to an image. So here's another picture of it. That's just a pretty car. In my opinion, that's just amazing. Traxxas looks like they're really standing, like I said, the faux brakes. So you're actually going to get some fake disc brakes with it, and it looks like, yeah, so the disc is actually going to spin. They don't work, of course. The only time you usually put disc brakes on something is if it's fifth scale and two-wheel drive, like a model sport or something like that. Let me see if I can find that one image. Oh, speaking of, here's the Colossus. Wait. Here's a lot more pictures. Yeah. I'm definitely going to go with a brushless setup. I don't like brushed. Here we go. These drive cups coming out of the differential are plastic. I don't like that. Why are you going forward when I'm not telling you to? And then the driven cups that the wheels go to are metal dog bones instead of plastic, which we all know Traxxas is so famous for using plastic drive shafts on brushless. And you also have different setups. You actually can change the camber a little with different places for the joints, and they're not ball joints, they're actually screw joints. Ball joints is what like the HPI uses. Traxxas uses sort of like hind joints. You put a screw through the center of the metal ball. The metal ball goes into the plastic part and the link, and that's how those work. With a ball joint setup, you actually have a cup and a ball, and the cup snaps onto the ball, and that's how those joints. But you can actually change these, like right here, this would be for camber. You could tilt the wheel in some, but again, right at the differential, the out drive cups are plastic. So not a huge fan about that. And this is coming out in March, I believe. Here's a good look at the diffs. Again, plastic drive cups. Usual pinion crown setup. And gear diff, not a ball. There's the new shaft driven. They're now shaft driven, not belt driven. Wow. Yeah, that's where all the wires going, I'm guessing. And there's the pinion and spur setup. Hopefully it's easy to work on. Oh yeah, it is. It has sort of the same setup as the X-Max. The front bulkhead and everything from the front and rear. It's a, shit, what is the name of that? Starts with an M. The three-piece design is ultra detailed, so you can actually you can undo a few screws and this entire section comes off, just like the Slash, same thing. It looks like Traxxas is doing a lot of that with their newer vehicles, making it a lot easier to work on your vehicle, because we all know that we love working on them. And also the rear of it is ultra detailed. You actually have all these cutouts for the tail lights, all the grills, the rear diffuser, the exhaust pipes that actually come out up here. Of course, they're not working, and then you have these awesome looking tires. I think they look great. And again, I'm not a huge Traxxas fan. I love what they do for the industry. This thing's going to be four-wheel drive. I don't think the actual vehicle is. If you don't want yours to be four-wheel drive, you could always take out the front dog bones, and then you'll just be driving the front diff. But there'll be no power going to the front wheels, and you'll just have a rear-wheel drive car. That's what I love about a four-wheel drive Slash. People always say, what would you rather go with, a two-wheel drive Slash or a four-wheel drive Slash? Well, with a four-wheel drive Slash, you actually get both. If you remove the center shaft and the two front axles, you have a two-wheel drive Slash, and if you get the right parts, those wheels are just freewheeling instead of having power sent to them. So with my Slash, I actually run in four-wheel drive and two-wheel drive racing. I have a Shining Star chassis ordered, so I'm going from sort of pro stock to pro mod, because I'm completely modifying it. The only thing that's going to be left on that thing stock, wow, probably nothing. Maybe the radio box. But Traxxas is coming with some pretty amazing things. And again, you also have the new Bigfoot body that is probably the most detailed Bigfoot body that has come out in a very, very long time. Oh, wow. It looks like they're doing the same design. Yeah, they're doing the same thing that they did with the X-Max. You have lettering, and depending on, to set your gear mesh. And depending on what gearing you go with, it tells you what pin to set it in. Personally, I don't like that because I know how to set gear mesh, but for people that are new to this, that's a great idea, but that's plastic. They're going to need to change that to metal, especially with a brushless, because that thing's going to flex, and then you're going to end up eating spur gears unless you end up going with a metal spur gear. So, in the comments, tell me what you think about this. You think it's cool that Traxxas is actually coming with a scale crawler now? What do you think about the new Ford GT? Yes? No? It all comes down to that. What do the people think? Of course, people are going to buy it. I'm going to buy the Ford GT, and depending if the scaler is competitively priced, I'll probably get the Traxxas scaler just to see, especially if it's 8th scale. That's going to be different from everything else. But then, what class are they going to put it in? So, it all comes down to that. It all comes down to demand from the people. There's going to be supply, like with the X-Max. There's more demand than there is supply. And with the new 8 setup, there is a snap-on version. I know someone who already has both versions, and it's the 8S version. The 8S version has not, well, yes, February. He had to do quite a bit to get his hands on both. There's a black version and a red and white version. So, here we go with Traxxas, yet again, coming out with some amazing stuff. And thankfully, it's not around Christmas time. Because, like with my Convergence, hobby manufacturers tend to rush things to get it out for Christmas. And then, like with the X-Max, you have differentials that can't stay in one piece, ESCs that blow up and burn up. Just a lot of problems with the X-Max. So hopefully they really did their homework, because I'm really excited about these two vehicles. I'm already going to get the Ford GT as soon as they go on pre-order. I'm going to pre-order a blue one. That's my fiance's favorite color, so got to get a blue one so she'll like it. So again, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think.